Once again, Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs had a massive recruiting weekend in Athens as some of their top targets and some of the best prospects in the country were back in Athens to watch the Georgia Bulldogs practice on Saturday. And I've got some notes, I've got some news on several prospects. Of course, you can read all of this over on Dawg Post. I already put up one big-time recruiting story. It's over on the website. I got more to write. But I did want to come on here and share some quotes from some of the biggest targets who are in town. And one of them was elite running back Xavier Crowell. I've talked about him before. He was an elite 5-star running back in the 27 class. Still is, but he did reclassify to the 2026 class. And now he is still ranked as the number 2 running back prospect in the country. He's out of Jackson, Alabama. Ran wild for just under 2,000 yards and 31 touchdowns. Last year, he caught a few more passes for 258 more yards, 2 more scores. Kid is a big deal. Might be tough to get him out of the state of Alabama, but Georgia's going to swing for the fences here. They had him on campus. This is what he had to say about his visit. He said, quote, "The environment in Athens is always great. What continues to excite me about Georgia is how Coach Smart runs practice. He's on the mic letting everyone know how hard he wants them to go each and every play." Nate Frazier is the running back who stood out to me the most, and their message was to me was that I am a top priority for them in the 2026 class. And that's a big statement because the Georgia Bulldogs are after some of the very best across the country. As you know, they only took one running back in the last cycle, the 2025 class, in Bo Walker. Now they've got to sign 2 of the very best in the 26 class, and he's absolutely one of them. They're also still in the mix for Savion Hyder, Derek Cooper, Jay Lamar, several others, right? But Xavier Crowell, this dude is a big-time running back. Even though he reclassified, he's still the number 2 running back in the country, 5'11", 200 pounds. He has his official visit lined up to Georgia May 30th. So the Dogs are in the mix. There's no doubt about it. And I believe that they really impressed him during this visit. He's high on Georgia, but I'm not saying that they're leading in his recruitment or anything like that. But if they were to land him, it would be a massive deal. Moving right along, I talked about this other prospect before, in-state linebacker Braden Roos, a guy who is, saw his recruitment basically take off in January and February. His stock is rising. His ranking is rising. One of the more productive two-way players, not only in Cobb County, but really Metro Atlanta and kind of across the state in the 2026 class. He's out of Kell High School in Marietta, just south of Woodstock, the number 8 linebacker in the country, number 162 overall. Wouldn't surprise me if that ranking increased more and more over time. He had 105 tackles last year, 14 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks, 5 pass breakups in coverage. On offense, he also caught 25 passes for 378 yards and 8 touchdowns. So no matter where this dude was lined up, he was making plays. 6'3", about 210, 215. So he's got some length, got some size. Kid can run. Here's what he had to say about his midweek visit to Georgia last week. He said, "I learned that the standard is 1 to none at Georgia." Wasn't really sure what that meant. I think it's 2nd to none, but he said 1 to none at Georgia. So he means that it's elite. That's what I think he said. He said, quote, "They have a high level of talent, and when you add that competition level and the energy that they bring, it creates a great team that can be successful. The coaching staff is impressive as it relates to developing defensive players, so the expectations are always high at Georgia." Definitely an in-state guy to keep an eye on. Tennessee, Texas. He was at Michigan for 3 days. I think they may have some momentum. When you spend 3 days at a place, yeah, you start to feel the buzz a little bit. I think right before the Georgia visit, he was at Alabama. So I think Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, and Michigan are probably the 5 that are standing out right now from someone who covers recruiting. He might say different, but I do think Georgia is very much in the mix for one of the best overall prospects and defenders in the state of Georgia and really across the South. So that's an in-state linebacker to keep a close eye on. And again, more and more, we're starting to see Georgia focus more in the state. They took 2 linebackers in the last cycle, one of them from Sly County, Zayden Walker. Anthony Crua at Marietta is another guy they took. C.J. Allen is a former Georgia native at linebacker. So they have no problem staying in the state. And they showed it last year. Like 20 guys that they signed were from the state of Georgia, Wouldn't surprise me if they did the same for a lot of these targets. Braden Rouse is definitely one of them. Moving right along, we're going to talk about some other big-time prospects who were in town, hoping to hear back from some of these guys. One of them is Brandon Arrington. He's the number 1 cornerback, number 12 overall prospect, right? Big deal. Kid who can absolutely fly, if I can get the words out of my mouth this morning. Runs an incredible 100 meter. I think he's like a 10.3, 10.4, something like that. That may be a little fast, just from the notes. That's what I have written down. I'll have to go back and check, but 6'3", 180, running that fast. It's really impressive. He also caught 31 passes for 527 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's from California, and he has a relationship with Dante Williams, Georgia's defensive backs coach, who came from Southern Cal. So there is a connection there. Definitely a guy to keep a close eye on. Texas A&M is in the mix. I think Texas, USC, Alabama, the usuals, right? I think LSU is in the mix there. Wouldn't surprise me if Michigan, Ohio State were also involved, but getting him on campus is a big deal. I don't think he's announced that he's got an official visit set up to Georgia. It wouldn't surprise me if that news came soon. Also, before I forget, I think Jared Curtis could be making a decision very soon. Could be by the end of this week. It would not surprise me at all if, it could be any day now. The second I end this video, Jared Curtis might pop to either Oregon or Georgia. It could be either one. Right now, I still lean a little bit towards Oregon, but Georgia would not surprise me. 2 weeks ago, Georgia would have surprised me. After this last visit about a week ago now, a little over a week ago, Georgia, I think really, they feel that they're in a good spot. And I think they rolled out the red carpet. They showed them everything that they could have. They answered all the questions they needed to. So they put themselves in a position to land it. Wouldn't surprise me if he committed to Georgia, but I still think I'd give Oregon still the slight edge right now. Moving more along, right? Caden Protho, another guy that I'm supposed to be hearing back from soon. I'll hope to have an update with him over on Dawg Post. He's elite, just a monster tight end, big wide receiver, you could call him, but who could also play tight end. 6'6", like 225, 230, multi-sport guy, 56 catches for 1,200 yards, 22 touchdowns in 15 games. All this guy does is score touchdowns. Number 3 tight end in the country, number 30 overall. He was back in Athens for an important unofficial visit. He's got a bunch of official visits lined up, so this is not a slam dunk to Georgia at all. But Todd Hartley's going to do everything he can to land Caden Protho. It won't be easy because he signed 2 of the best in the country, Elias Williams and Nathan Barbour, in the last cycle, right? And I think those 2 guys are outstanding. Both of them, I think, have really bright futures. But he's still swinging for the fences for guys like Caden Protho, Mark Bowman, who I think is elite. That guy is going to be one of the best tight ends in college football, probably by year 2, wherever he goes, whether it's Georgia, Texas, Oregon, but wherever. That kid is an absolute stud. But Caden Protho is a big-time just baller at tight end as well. There's so many good ones. Todd Hartley's going to get his guys. I say his guys. He may not land Mark Bowman. Caden Protho is not a slam dunk to Georgia, but Todd's put himself in a position where he could land 1, if not 2 of those. He already has Lincoln Keys on board. He's a high 3-star, low 4-star, depending on where you look at. So they already have 1 tight end on the commit list, but he's looking to sign some of the best as well. Other targets who are in town, Carter Lucky, brother of Lawson Lucky, is the defensive lineman at Norcross High School, coming off a very productive junior season. My nose itches. He was one of the best defensive line prospects in the state of Georgia for the 2026 class. He's been to several schools. He's got a bunch of offers, but he was back in Athens last week. Obviously a Georgia legacy, so he's definitely another in-state defender to keep an eye on. Desmond Green is an offensive lineman from, I believe, South Carolina that Georgia's involved with. Malcolm Gaston is a kid from in the Augusta area. He's in South Carolina as well. He was also on campus recently. So a couple out-of-state guys that Stacey Searles, thinks that he's in a good position for. Both guys bring a lot of size, and they're both very interested in Georgia. So those are 2 offensive linemen in the 2026 class to keep an eye on. So just a few notes, and we're going to have a lot more over on Dawg Post. There's a 5-star cornerback who will be in town I believe Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe it's Tuesday and Wednesday, but I'll have to check. But it's a midweek visit, one of the best. He's a 5-star, a guy that Georgia, I think, is behind at least one, maybe 2 schools right now. Big midweek visit for that. For more on him, make sure you head over to Dawg. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope y'all enjoy these recruiting videos because it still matters. It still matters. I know Georgia's got their spring practice going on. G-Day's right around the corner. But this is still a big time, big month for recruiting. And, the staff's doing their best to get in a good position for some of these big-time 2026 targets. And I appreciate y'all watching these videos. Hope you learned something. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. And I'll see you over on the website as well. Thanks.